Now let me just get this out of the way. This video is completely subjective, and these bosses were way harder to rank than you would initially think. Don't take my word for how beautifully crafted these bosses are, and putting them into a tier list like this is unfair in and of itself, but I just wanted to do this because I thought it would be fun, and also because I just want to give my thoughts on some of the DLC bosses, and maybe some tips in case you need help with it. Here's a custom list of the bosses I will be ranking. I didn't decide to do like all remembrance bosses, and I just thought that these were the most notable from the DLC in my first playthrough, and it's a good way to stay in shape. Number 12, Putrescent Knight. Now let me just preface this real quick in case the intro didn't make it abundantly clear. Just because this boss is at the bottom of the list doesn't mean he's a bad boss. I just think that in the grand scheme of the DLC, he just kind of falls down here. Looks hella cool. I'm letting you know that right now. His design, this boss, fucking awesome. The little like fucking ooze horse that he kind of ride atop as he can actually like get off of. I'm glad that they made it so he can jump off his horse and it actually is incorporated in the fight, because the most of the time it's either one or the other. Either the horse doesn't do anything the whole time, or you can kill the horse and then it just becomes a one-on-one. But I like how instead they incorporated that with him instead of just it being just him altogether. Absolutely phenomenal way to go about this boss. I love it. Why aren't like tree sentinels like this? And I love the way he can throw his weapon and it kind of like boomerangs back. This weapon that he has is curvy as hell. Like goddamn, it will catch you off guard in how much it curves. And I kind of like the way he uses his like environment, kind of like whenever he rises up to spew fire. I like how it looks like he's like physically, it's like a like Elden Beast arena where it looks like it's just water or something, but it kind of rises with him, the little like ooze stuff. I think it looks super awesome, and I think this boss deserves to be much higher now that I'm really thinking about it, but this is just what I put in my notes. But I love how much emphasis the DLC puts on like the advanced movement of the game, not just, you know, pressing B to roll all the time, but some attacks you can actually jump and crouch under, and certain ashes of war can launch you in the air, and it can be used to dodge attacks, like the fire that he uses to spew out. You can get over that. This guy kind of seems like a beginner boss more than anything. The only tip I can give for him, if you happen to be struggling with him, is use holy damage. I mean, the guy's undead, so it does more damage to him. Go get him, champ. Number 11, Ramina, Saint of the Bud. Honestly, not a lot to say about this boss. Boss is very cool. Like the attacks are super sick. Very telegraphed, which is phenomenal. Like I say very telegraphed, I mean very telegraphed. This motherfucker actually gives you a sound cue before she attacks. Like I think that's generous for a FromSoft boss to do. I mean, I didn't really spend too much time on this boss. I think it took me 3 tries, and I think it takes like a large majority of people not very many tries. I think maybe because I actually don't know. Like maybe this boss just isn't hard or something. I genuinely don't understand, but I feel like on subsequent playthroughs it may be harder for me to beat. It may just be because maybe because it comes after an arguably better boss, although I did kill her before it in the wrong order. I did like the Scarlet Rot though, and I like the little motif that it has from Melania's theme in the OST. Very nice. I'm glad it's not incorporated in every move of hers. It's very nice. Just kind of like 3 or 4, and then she just insta-procs it on you, which is fucked up. In my notes, it says Strat hug her. Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about. I think that may be like her close-up attacks that she kind of does. I think she has like 2 or 3 attacks that she does when you're up close, and then there's just one runaway. And most of the time it takes you with her, which is probably what makes her so easy, because she doesn't really have much way to zone you out. But yeah, that's what I think. Number 10, Commander Gaius. Honestly, literally just Tree Sentinel, but way better. I like the gravity magic, makes everything into pretty much a physical fight. Still don't know a consistent way to dodge the beginning charge attack. I guess we'll get there eventually, won't we? I just don't think I like this boss really all that much, if I can be completely honest, which isn't a bad thing. I just think other bosses are slightly better. I don't know. Honestly, if I'm thinking about it now, I kind of want to switch Commander Gaius and Putrescent Knight, because I think Putrescent Knight, the fact that he actually fucks off of his horse and the horse actually attacks you, way cooler than this motherfucker. So, editor in post-editing, make me look better. No. Just some help with the boss if you need. Stay behind him and mainly roll more left or right because he naturally turns around if you do. Or just try and hit the head of the boar or guys himself for better stagger damage. And get a move on. Number 9, Matir, the Mother of Fingers. Hell a quest to go on to get this boss. And by quest, I mean traversal. Because goddamn, you go on a journey and a hike and a fucking marathon just to get this fucking boss. I mean, the good thing is you get good talismans by doing it. You get the Crimson Seed Talisman and the Cerulean Seed Talisman. Honestly, pretty good talismans, I won't lie. Especially since they're +1. Way better than their counterpart. Pay to win DLC easily from Software Fixture Game. I mean, I personally used the Crimson Seed Talisman in my first playthrough. I mean, I thought they were good. I don't know about you guys. I think the fight visually stupendous. Fucking love the background. Something more akin to Bloodborne than Elden Ring, if I can be honest. I don't really know what those things are. It doesn't even look like fingers. They look like, I don't know what they're called. They just look like tubes that are just hanging out of the sky, and it looks like you're underwater, and it's so cool. It's so cool. Yeah, I mean, if you really need help with this boss, her attacks, very telegraphed. Also, very squishy boss. Just stay near it, punish accordingly. Not really much to say. I don't really think it's that hard of a fight, although that fucking helicopter attack in the second phase can go suck my left nut because it looks fucking impossible to dodge and I genuinely don't know what to do about it. And now I'm scarred for life. Number 8, Scattertree Avatar. Honestly, I love the design of this boss. Definitely unexpected from the area, and the OST is definitely one of the best in the DLC. This boss's design, fucking love it. I hate most beast bosses. I love mainly one-on-one bosses that are some sort of humanoid because most of the time, when it's a beast boss, I can't really fucking see what I'm doing. So I'm glad with this boss, it's more like veiny and tree-like, where even if you get up all in his grill, he kind of either backs up a little bit and hits you with his head, or he, like, since he's all veiny, like I was saying, and more tree-like, you can actually see through him. Love that. Absolutely brilliant design choice. This boss definitely has one of the health bars of all time. 3 health bars in total, although most of them not really all that full. Pretty much 3 phases with several attacks differentiating them, which I actually can appreciate. I mean, if you're really struggling with this boss, just a strat I can give you real quick, just go for the head. I mean, that's really about it. And thanks for listening. Number 7, Needle Knight Letta and her allies. Now, I know what people are going to say. Why is this gank boss so high on a fucking boss list? And yes, while I agree that this is purely a gank boss, hear me out. There are a lot of things that make this boss more than just that. First of all, if you haven't listened to the OST yet, go do that. It's fucking legendary. I think it's at least number 3 on the OST list for this DLC. Fucking incredible. No other gank fight in From Software history has had so much emotion in this fight. The NPCs communicating with each other, with you, and other NPCs, which is an incredible design choice that they did. Even if you choose to summon, it's exhilarating. And something I've always wanted to see of the original Roundtable, just people fighting because they have differentiating causes or differentiating ideas. Especially since the only real sense of that we get is us and Gideon, and maybe Ensha, but that was kind of lame. And he literally doesn't talk. But these people, like, genuinely fucking care about what they're fighting for. I think this is one gank fight From Software has finally done right. And if you do most of the NPC's quests right, it becomes like a 4v3, and that's balanced in a way, because I mean, I guess to be fair, you count as like 2 people depending on your bill. Now, the reason I'm putting it number 7 instead of anywhere up above, I would put it up above if I really fucking wanted to. I feel like on subsequent playthroughs, I'm doing a level 1 run right now, like a level 1 and Scattertree level 1 playthrough. I feel like that's going to be hell and probably get one shot by literally everything. And if I don't do the NPC quest right, I feel like 100% of the time, you're going to struggle with this boss fight like I did. If you're seeing the gameplay right now, it was some garbage. I hated every single second of it. But looking at how other people played the boss fight, and knowing that I just got a bad experience, I think it deserves to be here. Fight me if you don't. They didn't betray you. You were just doing your job. Number 6, Midra, Lord of Frenzy Flame. Now, where to begin about this boss? This boss feels refreshing in an onslaught of bosses that are consistently on your ass or have chain attacks that go on for literally years. This boss feels more like it should be in the base game, if I can be completely honest. The way it moves, the way it just kind of attacks you. I don't know, maybe it's just me, but it feels like this boss definitely has more telegraph sword swings, and the way he just kind of doesn't really move a whole lot, just kind of takes your hits. I feel like he kind of deserves to be in the base game, but that's just my opinion. I mean, I'm not saying that he doesn't deserve DLC quality. He's definitely up there, because Jesus Christ, that reveal in the second phase, actually beautiful. And the music, ooh, ooh. Literally the interpretation of a Madness build though, because that bar is going to stay up all the way but never proc Madness. Because fuck you. I love the design, love the combat, and the moveset there. There's a lot to love about this boss, but my only gripe is the first phase. Why do I have to kill this fucking infant child screaming at me every time I enter the boss room? If anything, I feel discouraged anytime he hits me, and I feel dumb for it, and then it feels like I've done a bad run. But I think that's more of a personal problem, and not really a problem with the boss. Any strats for the boss that you really need? Circle around that boy. Never really dodge away, because then he just kind of starts zoning you out with madness. And the fog consumes. Number 5, Relana Twin Moon Knight. Now that it's fucking, sorry, my notes just says Pontiff 2. Incredible boss. Fucking dual swords, infinite combo potential, and double dipping in elemental weapons. Everything you want in a kick-ass boss. Not really much else to say that hasn't really been said about this boss. Took me probably the second longest of any boss in the DLC because I was stubborn and wanted to parry this motherfucker, and it didn't work. I mean, there's everything to love about this boss, if I can be honest. Like, she gives you a hella epic talisman literally right out of her boss room. Her weapons that she gets you, honestly, definitely one of the best in the DLC, because I bet everybody's probably been asking for stuff like this where you actually get weapons that the boss uses and it actually does what the boss does, and I'm so glad they did it because I used some of it in my playthrough, and you know what, it was awesome. If you really want strats, I recommend a running gun strat. Get one hit in and get out before she blunders you. Just stay patient, we'll get there. Number 4, Bale the Dread. Now let me just check my notes. What do we got here? Oh. Now, like I said about beast bosses in this DLC, I fucking despised beast bosses, like, just in general, because I hate getting up in their face. Especially with this boss, if I can be honest. I had a terrible time with this boss because most of the time, like some of his attacks, maybe like 2 or 3, couldn't really tell what the fuck is going on or what he's doing. It just kind of looks like he's standing there and all of a sudden he charges the fuck at you. And also, sometimes he likes following up with stuff and sometimes he doesn't. It's just kind of a bitchaloid, especially if you're using a heavy weapon. God, I pray and I'm so sorry for you. But honestly, with this boss, I mean, I felt it, but like, this boss is honestly fucking incredible. I mean, Bale's definitely up there in dragon bosses. Now, personally, it may just be because this is like my first time fighting him. I don't think he's better than Midir, if I can be honest, because I think that his leg hitbox, the one that's been fucking chopped off, I think that also is technically classified as a weak spot, and also I don't think he has as many get off me tools as Midir did, but at the same time, he also doesn't really take that much reduced damage when hitting anything else but his head. Although, to be fair, that may not be exactly what they were going for, but the problem is if you're not in front of him the whole time, he only does like a certain like 2 or 3 attacks, and he also doesn't really know what to do. But in the second phase though, incredible transition, awesome. Did I mention this OST, fucking awesome. Sorry, the OST in this entire DLC is fucking phenomenal. You should go listen to it now. Phenomenal. Still don't know how to dodge the fire attack, but it's an awesome attack to look at though. If you really want strats, I would recommend doing Egon's quest, even if you don't like summoning. I would just recommend it anyway, because, I mean, come on, you saw the notes. Even if he doesn't give you any, like, you know, damage support, he'll give you moral support, that's for sure. But I would recommend staying in front and not really going, honestly, actually, you know what? Don't do what I did. I would recommend going for the back, because it seems like a lot of people had a lot better time just staying behind him and doing stuff like that. I don't know, maybe it was just the way I played against him that made me fuck up so badly, I'm not for sure. But, curse you. Number 3, Promise Consort Radon. Controversially, this boss is 3rd on my list, which may be surprising to a lot of people, but I did genuinely enjoy this fight. Throughout my 230 attempts, I practically mastered this fight through and through. This is coming from a guy who fought him with the fucking Lornsorn Greatsword. I had determination on it. I think this boss is getting a lot of flack because it's hard, and well, that's a fair point. You're fighting a god, leagues above you in all sorts of the fashion. It's not just going to be some easy one and done fight. And I think everybody complains, oh, the second phase is unfair and kills me way too many times. But I think people are complaining about the wrong thing. If we want to talk about unfair and unjust boss design, take a look at this fucking move. This move, this swipe from his left to right, and then like the double slash, single-handedly has ended countless of my attempts because it's literally undodgeable. and completely up to luck whether you take damage or not. The best counterplay to this move is either you get lucky by a jump heavy or an elevated environment just goes over you, or the best solution I found, and this only works if you're two-handing a singular weapon, power stance users, you will be missed. But essentially, this fucking move comes out at -3 startup frames and will catch you off guard. So the best and most consistent case scenario will be to reasonably predict when his move is going to come out, block the first hit while two-handing, your weapon, and then roll the follow-ups regularly. If you do not do this, you will be taking damage, and you will be liking it, because there will be nothing you can do about it. Sorry for ranting a bit. I just feel like nobody's pointed out this flaw, and FromSoft, I think you should fix it. Anyway, everything else about this boss is pretty much as it should be. I think the second phase is at a reasonable difficulty, especially for this DLC that is notoriously hard. I think OST, this is definitely number 1 on there for being fucking incredible. Would recommend listening to it if you're able to. I don't even care what kind of music you like or don't like. Please listen to this OST, it's actually so good. If you want any strats, get the Holy Immunity Talisman, or at least the damage negation for Holy. That makes it fucking awesome. Definitely a must-have for this fight. If you're really, stubborn like I am, there's only, certain attacks you can jump. I wouldn't really recommend jumping, at all during this fight, if I can be honest, unless you're going for jump attacks. I would just recommend just pressing the B button. Sorry, my advice is actually, get good, please and thank you. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Number 2, Mesmer the Impaler. Now, I think this boss definitely deserves to be number 1 if it wasn't for a certain boss. This boss, fucking incredible. One of the best From Software battles and phases transitions that I've ever seen. I think his attacks flow well, although the problem with this fight is, I think a lot of people also have, is sometimes it kind of he definitely has tells, later on if you really notice them. He's basically the king of following up with something when it feels like he's done with a combo. Yeah, he'll stab and stab 3 times, and then all of a sudden he'll do a little recovery for a second, and then be like, oh, well, no, I'm actually attacking more, please. But I think most people have caught on to that, so I don't really think it's that much of a complaint. Although this guy seems really hard, especially on first playthrough, I wouldn't really say he's all that difficult if I can be honest. But as with most of these games, difficulty doesn't really mean they're fun. And this goes for the last boss in my ranking. Just because he was hard, it's not the reason I'm putting him up here, it's because I genuinely think he's a cool boss. But Mesmer definitely deserves to be up here. I just think that some of his snake attacks are just a little bit janky for the Elden Ring combat that they're going for. Sometimes they glitching around the arena, sometimes the camera doesn't want to do what they want to do, and sometimes it's not telegraphed regularly. But I still think he deserves to be up here because just an incredible boss fight, and it's definitely very exhilarating whenever you're fighting him. I think the reason I put him up here is because I don't really think anybody can have a bad time fighting this boss. I think he's definitely up there for one of the best made. And if you're having trouble with this boss, I mean, you could probably summon in some fucking phantom that just says, let me solo him. I don't know. Number 1, Divine Beast Dancing Lion. Now, why might you be asking, is this accursed motherfucker on the top of my list? Well, I'm gonna tell you, because he is a phenomenal fight. And I see every single person complaining about the camera, and I'm letting you know right now, that is simply not the case. I think when you get up in his face, he doesn't really do all that much, besides his whole backflip thing, whenever he throws a wind at you in his wind phase, or just his backflip thing in general. If you're close enough to it to have the camera know that, that is probably one of the only attacks where he will genuinely start going upwards. That's when you instantly know what attack he's doing. Every single one of his attacks probably look the most different. He doesn't really have anything that, he has maybe 2 attacks that look similar, and those are just close-up bites. That's just standard for a boss. But I think this boss, genuinely the greatest in the DLC. But I think this boss, fucking incredible. OST, okay, I can't be the only one that thinks of this. I tested this out on a couple people a couple days ago, but see what you guys think. Does this OST not sound like something straight out of fucking Sekiro? Okay, here, I'll play a little, compilation of Sekiro footage and see what you guys think. Alright. Like, it's actually incredible how much it sounds like it, which I think amplifies this times 10, because especially, like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but whenever you're fighting him and the music kind of matches up with what he's doing, especially fans transitions, it's because he's genuinely dancing with you. I think that's an awesome design choice. I think it's so awesome. Especially for an opening boss, this is, like, literally peak From Software design. He changes up his elements, but he doesn't really change up his moveset all that much, besides maybe the ice, where you kind of have to dodge with different timing, and the lightning where you have to dodge twice. I think that's awesome. Just taking the same... like, this wouldn't work well if it was a reuse fight. Like, if it was just like, here's the Divine Beast here, but he's ice, and then all of a sudden, an hour later, you find him, but he's lightning. No, I don't think that would work as well. But I think incorporating all into one boss, where you pretty much have mastered his moveset from the first phase, and the second phase has maybe 1 or 2 moves in the second phase where each element has their own respective move. Like, the ice has the ice stomp, the lightning has the lightning throw, and the tornado from the wind phase. Like, I think that is fucking awesome. Taking a moveset like that, I think, like, for this boss specifically, since it works with so many elements, I think it makes it absolutely peak in From Software design. They should make more like this. And those are my rankings. I think that all these bosses in general fucking peak From Software design. Beautiful and well-crafted DLC. Do you agree with me, or do you fucking hate me now? But I hope you all enjoyed, and yeah, catch you on the next one.